Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe to my channel. I said it before that you should not be trapped by conspiracy theories, because that's a trap that prevents you from looking what's right in front of you. And I want to add something to that. Too often, people are so focused on the scandals that the leaders in the world are doing. For example, it can be that there's a lot of money wasted by the authorities, or it can be that there was this criminal that should have been locked up in jail because he was dangerous, but he's released. There are so many scandals out there. So I'm not even going to pick any of them and talk about them because there are too many. But the main thing that people lose out of sight is why is the population putting up with it? Okay, let's say, for example, in Rotterdam, this happened, I believe, 2 months ago. Similar things happen more and more often. You had this guy, he lost his mind, he took off all his clothes on a cold day, and he began to walk around naked. Now, I believe it's more than 2 months ago, but anyway, it happened. It was in a newspaper also. Of course, the police came and brought the man to the hospital where he received help. But in this case, there's an obvious abnormality. People don't put up with it. Even if the guy did not intend any harm, people realize this is wrong. And it's a cold day. Who in the right minds take off all their clothes on a cold day, make themselves sick, and embarrass themselves publicly? Nobody does that. So, in that case, we know something needs to be done about it. Why then is it that the so-called elites of this world, I don't even want to honor them as elites, but why do the so-called elites of this world can get away with so many things that a regular human being wouldn't even dare to commit? I mean, the elites lie all the time. All the time. If a child lies, people become upset because they have to teach a child you don't lie. If it's an adult lying often, he can lose his job or he can lose his friends because we think, no, we don't take that. Why is it that elites can lie all the time and people just get along with it? And not only that, the masses even believe the lies, even when it's obvious in the reports that the reports don't add up. Because the elites, let me tell you, they use witchcraft. That's why they can trap people, because their stories don't add up. Really, their stories contradict themselves. And here's the thing, for the witchcraft to work on the masses, the stories have to contradict themselves. But even when it's too obvious, way too obvious, that the stories don't add up, the mass still feed themselves with it. But when you come out and say, hold on a minute, folks, this report here doesn't add up. I mean, when you point out facts, they turn on you. Why is that? It is because they don't want to be responsible. It is because they are relief seekers. That's why. They're operating in the negative. They don't want to be responsible. And let me repeat it. The masses don't want to be responsible. If they wanted to be responsible, they would have removed those elites a long time ago. They would have torn down their palaces and stripped away all their honors and so-called dignities, and it would have been over with. It doesn't happen because people don't want to be responsible. They just want to be left alone in their comfort zone, and there are some authority figures out there doing what authority figures need to do so they are at ease. That's the truth about those people. Because the elites cannot get away with anything unless the population is willing to remain asleep. Yes, the elites who worship Apollo and those other demonic entities, they are guilty for what they're involved with, absolutely. And there are people from the masses victimized. Indeed, they trick the masses, they deceive the masses, they do all of that. But not everyone of the masses is just a victim. There comes a point someone needs to face reality and seek the way out. But a lot of folks aren't even interested in a way out. They just want to be relieved and they go off against anyone that goes against their belief. And here's another thing. I want to give an illustration now. Let's say now you had a dictator that wanted to use the Chinese minority as a scapegoat. So he and people from the media began printing articles blaming Chinese people for the bad economy. And also in the media on television, every time when Chinese people came into the picture, it was associated with either crime or with prostitution or with low moral standards. Now the truth is that the Chinese minority in that country was quite wealthy, and they didn't even bother much with the native population. They provided jobs and all kinds of benefits to the local population. So there was in reality nothing true of what the media was presenting onto the population. But over time, people began to hold on to what the media was presenting to them, and they began to really associate all those bad outcomes with Chinese people. So what happens? Because they held on to these accusations, they felt burdened. They became angry. But whose fault was it that they became angry? They were, because they didn't check whether what the media was telling was true or not. It's not that they've been influenced and conditioned by the media, because they were. But even then, it was obvious that many of the reports just didn't add up, and they could have seen through it. But many just wanted the approval of society. They wanted the validation society provided them, so they agreed with what society agreed with. So after a while, there was so much conflict in the community due to the conditioning, and then the violence turned on the Chinese community. And many folks blindly complied with it. Even when they realized, hold on a minute, it doesn't add up. These Chinese folks provided jobs for us, and they never exploited us. They also respected our culture and our norms. But because they didn't want to lose the approval of mommy or daddy, or of a girlfriend, boyfriend, or of their spouse, or of the community, or of their church members, or from the colleagues, they complied. So within the next 5 years, many Chinese people went missing because they were killed. Now hold on a minute. The elite, in this case, caused this. They're responsible, they're guilty. But who enabled it? Many people from the masses. Why they enable it? Because they are relief seekers. I'm not saying that they actively engaged in killing and kidnapping the Chinese folks, but they enabled it. So at least they need to acknowledge they've enabled it, and they need to repent of their relief-seeking attitude. But do many want that? No. They either blame it all on the elites, or they just space out. They disappear. They become unavailable. They don't want an active role in the solution. They don't even want to consider a solution, because they know a solution would imply automatically and naturally that they need to admit their contribution, and they need to realize their own individual issues that led them to enable the deception. They may not have been aware there was a deception, but the fact that they were deceived in such a way that they were even drawn into collective massacres shows that they need help, and they need to face themselves that they need help. But many don't want to go in that direction. It's too confronting for them. So they want to space out. They want to remain in denial, and it's this denial that enables the satanic elites to do what they're doing. Look, I'm not saying that if you were deceived or conditioned and you complied with something that wasn't right, that you're a bad individual, that you're evil, that you're unworthy. I'm not condemning you here. You are a human being, you don't know everything, and you can be tricked and deceived. Even if you have the right intentions, you can be led into things you normally wouldn't want to be involved in. So don't blame yourself. So I'm not blaming you here. I'm just pointing out to you the reason why many oppressive regimes continue. Why so much deception remains in the world. It is because the majority of the people do not want to face the truth. They don't want to be responsible. They are relief seekers. And some of them are hardcore relief seekers. They are what the Bible refers to as the wicked. And the paranormal, together with those satanic elites, they depend on the wicked. Because the wicked are the ones that will sell out their own people unto death just to get approval from the community. That's how the wicked are. Nobody can expect you to solve all the issues around you. No, you're just a human being, and you have your weaknesses and your limited capacity. And there's nothing wrong with that. You cannot be responsible for what everyone else is doing. No, you're only responsible for your part, your small part. But here's the thing, a lot of folks don't even want to acknowledge their small part. Yeah, do have demands of the masses. Look, get rid of this toxic self-blame that society taught you. Okay, because that's also a form of witchcraft that elites use on you to force you, to blackmail you into complying with them. Be delivered from condemnation. That's one stronghold you need to be delivered from. Just realize that the masses will be relief seekers. The masses have always been relief seekers. And a portion of the masses are wicked. They are hardcore relief seekers. So, move on from this illusion that you're going to wake up the masses and people are going to embrace it and fall in love with solutions. It's not going to happen. There will be a minority of folks that will give up the negative, and they'll find the truth and they'll be delivered and restored. But don't expect the masses to wake up in unity and joy. It's not going to happen. I'm not being pessimistic, I'm being realistic here. That's it for now. Agree with Christ and be at peace.